I have more capabilities in this airplane, this backcountry Cub airplane, than I have in my airplane that carried 200 people around the world in. So the avionics actually got me out of a few what could have been some bad situations. There was one where I was heading south out of Bentonville, and I was clear. I was VFR, things were going fine. I did have to cross some of the Ozark Mountains to be able to get to where I was going, and the air was clear, but I had a massive storm to the west that was moving in, and I had a pretty good gap between that I was going to be able to shoot between. Well, as I'm flying, approaching that gap, it of course closes up on me all of a sudden. I had an out that I could go land at, but the problem was if I landed there, I was immediately going to get hit with just a torrential rain and potential hail, lightning, and all that stuff that I really didn't want to put myself or the airplane through. And so it was awesome because I was able to just call up approach, pick up an IFR clearance, punch through where the clouds had come together, but the storm wasn't too bad, and get myself to the other side of it. Another situation I had, I was flying back from my military duty as VFR on top, and needed to pick up a clearance in order to drop down, shoot an approach into Bentonville. And when I did that, the weather was great. I was sitting about 45 degrees Fahrenheit at the altitude I was. Picked up the IFR clearance, started to drop down, and unbeknownst to me or any forecaster out there or anybody else that was flying, there was an inversion layer that had happened, meaning that normally as you drop, the temperature increases because it gets colder as you go higher. But in this situation, as I dropped, I went from 45 degrees down to 28 degrees, which was the opposite of what it was supposed to be. Was not in the forecast. Nobody else had experienced any icing, or at least reported the icing. And as I dropped down into the weather, I start almost immediately gathering ice on the aircraft. I've got full IFR, heated pitot heat, but there's nothing else heated on the airplane. So leading edge was starting to collect ice. I was getting ice on the windshield, and I was getting a little concerned about it. So in that situation, the autopilot was flying the approach. I filed a PIREP, and of course, as soon as I filed the PIREP, everybody else started filing that they were also getting icing. It just happened. But fortunately, the autopilot was able to fly me down the weather. I shot an LPV all the way down to Mins. Once I broke out, obviously I didn't have to worry about icing anymore because there wasn't any active precipitation. But I was able to land, and despite the ice buildup that was completely out of my control, no way I could have forecasted that, the airplane actually handled it really, really well. And having the IFR capability to drop down and get below it helped prevent VFR up top being in a really even worse situation.